Hey everyone, Studfit here. I am joined by my wonderful friend Tabor. I know this being a relatively lackluster tour, I had to spice things up. I had to bring the man who you're very familiar with, his data, his top 10 lists, his spreadsheets. Now you get to see his face, hear his voice, and have him as a special guest as I'm starting to get used to technology, a special guest on the rundown. So thank you so much, Tabor, for joining us.
Hey, I appreciate the invite, Studfit. I'm really glad to be part of the rundown. I know it's been a bi-weekly video that a lot of people are looking forward to each time, each tour, just to see what's going on. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here today.
Awesome, man. We've been trying to get together for quite some time now, so I'm glad we were able to put this together. We've even played with the idea of potentially doing a podcast. Our schedules just have not aligned whatsoever, so I'm glad we're able to coordinate with our schedules. Where I think it's like close to midnight right now, but we are here. We're doing it for you guys, and for that reason, just like and subscribe. We'd appreciate the support. But as always, from this perspective, we take every tour salivating for what's new, what's going on, and breaking it all down for you. That was the purpose for the rundown. Is there's a lot of information I look for or started looking for in each tour, and then being able to collect that information for myself, and I put it into a video series. And I thank you so much for the support. We continue to add new viewers and supporters and subscriptions. So thank you again so much for the support. And it's able to be able to put together these type of videos with our good friend Tabor. And so thank you so much for the community that you guys have built. Jumping into the week one pipe, we have unique items in that we have now our fourth builder driver, and this time back with the hammer, which makes a lot of sense. The fact that Builder Toad has a bob-omb cannon makes absolutely no sense, but really that's kind of the par for Nintendo, is just literally like let's just do this, and it's like, yeah, that didn't make a lot of sense, but okay, let's just go forward with it. That's kind of their style. So at this point in time, we can't be really too surprised. But when it comes to this pipe, we have 7% high ends, which is better than a typical week one pipe. I think as we've noticed things happening really over the last year and a half, year and 9 months, whatever it is now, we've started to see them gradually add more value to things in general. So we'll see. Maybe, who knows? Maybe 7 high ends is the new 6 high end week one pipe, but only time will tell. But from that perspective, we have some familiar items. Not a lot of new items this tour. That's kind of where we'll sit here for a second. But we got Builder Toadette and Pink Dozer, the third Dozer version we have in the game. The thing about Builder Toadette, and this is something I want you to kind of touch on briefly, Tabor, is we have all these RT tracks. And for Builder Toadette to start out with 9 is phenomenal. But they're RT tracks. Should we treat RT tracks any differently from other style tracks, Tabor?
Well, I mean, in a sense, yes. I mean, if any character that comes out with all normals or all tricks or all cities has to be taken a little bit differently. And you're going to see this later on in our video when I go through some breakdowns about the different track types. But yeah, I mean, it's a strong character, especially when you have 9 in there. But the fact that they're all RT, I believe, does hurt it a little bit. We'll get in more of that later, but it's a little disheartening. I mean, they're going to help you now because it's all RTs, but yet to be seen. But not probably looking too good for Builder Toadette.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on that, but I do like the bubblegum color of this Pink Dozer. We'll see that we already have some strong dozers in the game. I think that's really cool that Nintendo did put together basically a bulldozer to drive around on the course. So I think they're trying to milk it for all it's worth. No problem there.
I think pink is the new gold right now. It seems like they're going to paint and everything. They might have a pink. Well, I think they've already had a pink pipe coming up, haven't they?
That
Who
would
knows? It's appealing, but we'll see the value later on.
That's a good point. As for the other items in the week one pipe, no changes to the drivers, carts, or gliders when it comes to what's permanent. Tabor, I know you and I were talking about this prior. These always can be subject to change. When we just see the items that are in the pipe, and we're kind of reading between the tea leaves and trying to put the two and two together. But anything can be really changed from perception to reality when it comes to what we think is a spotlight and not spotlight. And a good example for that, I'm thinking like a good example would be next week's spotlight is this Dozer Dasher. But the Dozer Dasher is also a permanent item in these pipes. So, are you pulling it? Are you pulling it, the next week's spotlight version or the Dozer Dasher that's already in there normally? So, from that perspective, it's we don't know exactly what all is going on behind the scenes. What could be permanent, what could not be permanent. Anything you want to add to that?
I mean, we don't know. I mean, it's all, like you said, subject to change in terms of what we're going to be looking for next week. I was looking back to some of the spotlights that were with the previous builder when the other builder drivers were debuted, and I noticed that when Builder Toad debuted, the ones that went with him was Clanky Cart and Starshoot, and so those are not Clanky Cart's not in the pipe now, so I don't expect that to be coming later. Starshoot, who knows? That's always going to be in there, but maybe it'll have an increased chance, maybe not. And I know when Builder Mario and Builder Luigi were both in the pipe, then they also threw in Snow Skimmer and Rainbow Starshoot. So, we never know what's going to come out there. We can only see what's in pipe 1, and then, kind of cross our fingers and hope something else is in pipe 2. We'll just have to see.
That's a good point. I'm also kind of curious why they're doing the treasure map. I know that's kind of been tied, I guess, when Builder Toad had it or something like that, and it was kind of Clanky Cart related, but it's also not necessarily like a builder item. The safety glider makes a lot of sense, but I don't know, just tossing that out there. It would have been made more sense to maybe have that Starshoot or something else. But hey, the treasure map is a pretty cool looking item.
It's cool. It doesn't have a lot of courses, but I believe it came out during the Explorer Tour when Captain Toad and Toadette Explorer, the other Toadette, was introduced. I believe that's right. But not a high valued item right now either.
That is very, very interesting. And then for the week two pipe, Builder Mario, Builder Luigi, Dozer Dasher, and Treasure Map. This part's just kind of we're used to seeing like the week 2 pipe almost be on par with the special pipe in its attractiveness, but to only have 4 spotlights, I feel like there has to be maybe 2 spotlights, maybe an additional cart or additional glider in there. I don't know, maybe so it might just have these 4 plus the 3 that are in there. And just have 7 high ends, just like the week 1 pipe, or maybe they throw us a curveball and throw another cart or glider in there that's also permanent. So I don't know, Tabor. Do you have any? You're probably not pulling on this pipe, I'm sure.
I'm not going to be pulling on any of the pipes. When I saw pipe 1, I was a little let down. And when I kind of looked ahead to what pipe 2 was on, I was like, well, that's not too exciting either. So maybe there's a great special pipe to kind of mask that a little bit or trying to make it better. But here's the special pipe, and my goodness, a Hanafuda pipe? Seriously? I was talking to Studfit earlier when this first came out, and I was like, nobody has any business pulling on the Hanafuda pipe. Now, again, you guys do what you want to do. I'm not going to try to tell you what to do, what's not to do. But in my professional opinion, or I don't know, not professional.
Professional, I like it.
Okay. My opinion is that these Hanafudas came out to those people that had Gold Pass. I was Gold Pass all the way. I have all 12 of these. I don't think I've used a single one once. They're all sitting at level 1, and I don't know why anybody would. Other than maybe a collector wanting to go out and get these who might have missed them before, I don't see any reason why these could be helpful. They do cover certain courses, like they're really notorious for covering all 4 of certain courses, which is great. But you're not guaranteed that type is going to be in any tour. It might be multiple months before that course shows back up. So who knows?
The one thing I did find out from doing some research on these Hanafudas is that they don't cover any cities, which is really interesting. There are no cities being covered by these Hanafudas. I will play the devil's advocate only because that's what I like to do. And I don't think this is not an attractive pipe that someone like yourself, a gold pass only, really should be pulling on. Now, for me, I see things a little differently, and I kind of want to sit here for a second. For one, I started late, so there are two Hanafudas I don't have. So from that perspective, I'm really hoping to get them. And I don't even know what they are because they all look about the same to me. The other part about Hanafudas that I think one of the reasons they get a bad rap is that at least if you're like a whale, you have a lot of gliders at 3 already. Yeah, just because you got 3 packs or you have things already, or you pull it at other times, and so it's really easy to get things up to high levels. When something starts at 1, you don't even think about putting tickets on it because that's 2 tickets you could have put on literally anything else. And so from that perspective, it's like you rarely put tickets on that Hanafuda. So this pipe could be helpful for someone like myself to, through this pipe, get it up there to a point where I hit a point of diminishing return where I can say, you know what, all right, hey, I have this at high enough level that I can take, put 2 tickets and take it to 6, or I could, do something with it. So for me, it's a little interesting, it's intriguing, but ultimately to me, I see this as the last card that Nintendo had. We've seen everything. At this point in time, we're basically going forward only going to see a recycled idea version of something that we've already seen before. This was like the idea that was like, one day we'll see this pipe, and here it is. And now I'm like, I think we have literally had a pipe for just about everything. And I think now I'm like, I almost feel like the future special pipes are going to be a little bit less surprising. Almost kind of like how this last tour with this Bowser versus DK, we had a lot of items, a lot of drivers that were just kind of random. Like, you had this Bowser pipe and then this DK pipe, and you're just like, what? I don't know. I don't even know why these people are all in these pipe or this pipe. I want some of these. I want some of these. Like, but didn't seem other than like the DK, being stuff from, one of the monkeys. Like, other than that, like they just all seem like very loosely tied together. So I wonder if, like, going forward, special pipes won't have as much meaning to it. So from my perspective, I see this as kind of the last card Nintendo has, and they had to play it. I think this is a pipe that I'll be pulling on. It'll be a little bit fun, just to see what it is. I'm still curious if it'll be five gliders or 4 gliders. I'm always gonna set my expectations at like 3 gliders, and then just be happy when it's 4. But I mean, there's a potential it could be 5. I think one of the other questions that's going around the community is, are the supers and normals going to also be gliders? Is that going to be a thing? So why don't you talk a little bit about your thoughts on that, Tabor, and then jump into a little bit of some background information about the different Hanafudas, and are any of them valuable?
Yeah, so here's the thing, Studfit. I know you said you're missing. Did you say 2? You
2.
Don't have 2. Yeah, so I mean, and that's fine. It's intriguing for you because you're wanting to try to, fill those holes in your inventory and get that collection. The thing is, there's not going to be spotlights in this pipe, so you're not guaranteed to get those 2. So it's still one of the same traps that they've always given before. Now, I will say this though, and this is the most interesting thing that I found about this tour compared to some other tours that have come out, is that these 12 gliders have only been available one way previous to this tour, and that was on Gold Pass. And if you didn't spend the money for Gold Pass, or if you came late in the game, then yeah, you don't have these. So Nintendo's giving you a way to be able to access some inventory that you couldn't have got otherwise. There's also 2 other items that have been the same way. The 8-bit Luigi glider and the Planet glider. Both of those have only been available through a banner, through a package. You had to spend money on those. They've never been available on a pipe, and so now they're available. Planet gliders, we know, is available in premium challenges, and the 8-bit Luigi glider is available as a Gold Pass reward. So it's exciting in that because, again, it helps a lot of people to be able to fill some category or fill their inventory without having to do much other than play the game. Maybe spend $5, which is, people are willing to do that for a high-end glider. That's not a big deal. So I did like that. So regarding these 12 Hanafudas on here, and again, I honestly believe it's going to be anywhere between 4 and 5 in this 50 pipe, and that's pretty generous. but the value is not that great, and I think Nintendo knows that, so they're trying to sweeten the pot a little bit to get some money on their end. Anyway, what I've in my algorithm, I've kind of ranked all the drivers and all the karts and all the gliders, and in terms of the Hanafudas only, the gliders. If you look down on the graphic here on the bottom, you can see I start with the blooper Hanafuda, blooper Hanafuda, and I work all the way down to Cape Mario Hanafuda, and that is the order in the rankings. And now the rankings are not high. The blooper Hanafuda is, and again, don't quote me on this, I don't have it in front of me, but I think it's in the 60s, so it's not great. There's not that many gliders in the game, so it's not a really high value glider. But I want to explain this graphic down below. Now, what I did is I ranked all of these blooper Hanafudas 1 to 12, 1 being the best, 12 being the worst, in terms of all 5 of the categories that I use in my algorithm, which is skill and the weight rank value for how often it's in ranked, and the rank mode percentage, the course and the weighted course value. And so I put all those on 1 through 12, and I ranked them, and then I put them on this graphic. Now, for each color is one of the categories that I use. The shorter that the color is, the best that it is in that category. So the shorter color means 1, the next longest would be 2, the next longest would be 3. So the longest color would be 12, which means it's the worst.
It's the 12th out of 12, right?
12 out of 12,
yeah.
Exactly. So we want short bars on this. So as you can see, blooper Hanafuda and actually Peach Hanafuda are both the shortest overall because we're stacking them. And the reason that Peach is not second or even first is because I weight these categories differently. So, even though the Peach Hanafuda has the shortest red, I don't weigh that as much as some of the other categories, and according to all that. So you can kind of visually see what's best, what's not in each category, and what could possibly help you. You'd have to look at course coverage on that, but overall, they're not great. If I should have put one of the top 10 gliders on here just for comparison, to see just not how great these would be.
Well, hey, so let me. There's a lot of categories up here, a lot of colors. One of my personal favorite parts of the algorithm is where you take into consideration other items on the top shelf. What color is that, and which one's the best there? So when you think about these Hanafudas, which Hanafuda is sharing the least number of top shelf tracks?
You'd be looking for green on that, on the course coverage value. So the shortest green on here looks like it's barrel Hanafuda, and then it goes back up to blooper Hanafuda.
There you go. Okay. And that's enough about some Hanafudas. I think we talked more about Hanafudas in this video than I've ever talked about Hanafudas, but prior to this week. So we'll get right into the packs, and Tabor, you could take a sip of some water here because a lot to talk about. I know not a lot of you guys need reasons to be able to talk about this, but I enjoy talking about it because these are my babies here. But when you're talking about this 8-bit star, it's studdish. It's been in the top 10, out of the top 10, and then back into the top 10. It's a great glider. But we've seen it around. It's been in different pipes and different packs before. I like it. It's not the most intriguing to me, especially when you compare it to the studdest of stud packs of all time. This Nabbit and Black Dozer has got to be the best pack of we've ever seen in the game. Now we've seen Nabbit here recently in packs. We've seen the Black Dozer recently in packs, and even a pipe there. But at this point in time, though, for best bang for your buck, if you're trying to level these guys up, I personally see this as the most valuable pack I've ever seen. So, Tabor, you can't. I know you probably don't necessarily need to chime in here, but you probably can admit that that's a pretty nice pack. That's like if they were ever tempted, that would be a pretty one to be tempted on.
Honestly, Nintendo could have priced this at $50 or $60, and I think it still would have been worth the value. Now, I'm not going to pay for it, but I think you whales would have still found value in it, even if it was more than the $40 that it is, because it's great. Now,
of course, I have those items at 7, so that's one I'm going to be skipping, unfortunately. As for this Koopa King, it's the OG of the Koopa Kings, the Gilded Kings, the Holiday Kings, but it's not a lot of value for a 90 ruby pack to just have one cart, and you know how many carts we have, plus the cart that's already in the 100 as a permanent item in the 100 pipes. I don't understand why this is the case. I know they've done this before, like with, say, the Iron Cucumber and a couple other items where they just have one cart and then just some tickets. Like, what is some tickets? Like, to me, this doesn't make a lot of sense. Which, at the same point in time, it makes me intrigued. I wonder what's going on. Is Koopa King going to, somehow have some value? Probably not. But at this point in time, if for some reason you want a pack and you think it's interesting, feel free. But I probably say this is probably one of the worst packs I've seen in a long time. It's literally on the other end of the spectrum from the pack we just talked about. As for the Wild Black, this is a former stud, but to me right now, in the value that it would bring, to me it's a dud. It's a former stud, no doubt. So I want that to be very clear. I'm not saying the Wild Black is bad by any means. It's a great card, but most likely you already have it. And I think when you're looking at some of these other packs, I mean, I would still go, with the 8-bit star. If I had to go for a 45 pack, that's the way I'd probably go, unless I for some reason didn't have the Wild Black. Getting it up a couple levels is a good idea. And from that perspective, it's not bad, but it's just not as a high value as it used to be. It's actually kind of curious as to why they put it in here. I know it's used a couple of times in ranked, but from this perspective of using it, for these 2 weeks. But ultimately, like, its time has come and gone. It's still around. It helps for all cup ranking, but unless you're doing all cup ranking, I just don't know if it brings a lot of value. And then finally, I think it's pretty obvious. Anytime you have a coin ladder and a coin box driver in packs, if you don't have these items at 7, these are both awesome stud packs. I just I think when you're looking at it all, it's the Nabbit and the Black Dozer. If you don't have either one of those, I think that's a wise decision if you're in that type of situation where you're looking at packs. All right, good. We talked about packs. All right, data mining. This will be going pretty quick. They did find some other information specifically around Amsterdam. So we talked a little bit about this last tour about Bangkok. We found this Tuk Tuk, which is a type of car that's predominantly found in Bangkok. There's also some information that we feel like is being tied to Amsterdam. Windmill, ferry, train, tram. We'll find out exactly what that means. Again, this is all speculation. We're just literally reading codes and data. Some other tracks that we feel like we've found, and kudos to Hydra, who's given all this data to us. But potentially, based on what we're reading, maybe a Waluigi Stadium, DK Mountain, Grumble Volcano, Piranha Plant Slide. These are all some options just based off of the code behind the scenes. And there's some other data mining that I didn't find quite as interesting. But one of the things that I did want to kind of point out is that both on the Bangkok and also the Amsterdam, you see that word MOBA, and for, I'm not sure why, but for in the data mining, that refers to items that were created for Mario Kart Tour, meaning that, like, this is for something that was not from a Mario Kart 8, not from like the Wii, not from the 3DS. It's something that was created in its original form for Mario Kart Tour. So we just kind of want to point that out. That's why you see MOBA for some of these Amsterdam and Bangkok, where Mario Kart Tour, we have cities and they're very different from, say, these other tracks like Waluigi Stadium, etc., that have been a part of the former Mario Kart series. So just pointing that out there. I know, Tabor, you don't necessarily get into a lot of that when it comes to the resources tab in some of the Discord servers, but just curious, any feedback on that? Is there one that you'd be looking forward to more than another?
I mean, cities are cool, and I kind of think that's the original intent of the game, to actually tour the world and see the different places and, say, oh, I've been there, I've seen that before, and kind of do all that. But honestly, in terms of where I've come from with using the spreadsheets and creating the data and doing all that, I'm not a big city fan. I enjoy the tours, but in terms of like the data and the input, I just kind of feel like it hurts the value of the items, and I have a hard time turning that off. So I mean, I'd love to see all kinds of this stuff, and I really like the MOBA, what you pointed out, because we've had all the city courses, plus we've had two. We've had Merry Mountain and then the Ninja Hideaway. Those are both original as well, and I really like those a lot. So I'd rather see those original courses show up compared to a city, but cities are cool too, I guess.
Yeah, that's actually brings up something I've been kind of thinking about too, which is I think Nintendo has a couple cards left, and like this Hanafuda pipe being one that we knew would be out there one day. A couple others is another card that Nintendo has is taking your experience level or whatever from 150 max to 200 max. We know that's possible. It's certainly within the realm of possibility. And so I know some people grind that EXP for when that day hits, they will have an advantage over their competitors. Really smart meta level move. I highly recommend that if you have the time and energy and are grinding ACR and aren't doing multiplayer, Kart Pro, and you're not doing all these things. So that's a card Nintendo has. Another card Nintendo has is releasing all the cities, and now the cities are apart and spread throughout every tour. And honestly, I think Nintendo, they almost have to kind of like drag the game, or has to hit a wall, or has to be like has to hit a point where the game needs some spice. It needs someone to shake. And we saw that with level 7. Who knows? There might be a level 8 coming, but there are a couple of these cards along the way. I think out of all the cards that Nintendo can play, between taking things to level 200, taking things to level 8, I think allowing cities to be a part of the general part of the game would keep me invested and keep me playing this game for an additional year, if that makes sense. So from my perspective, like, that would be the most exciting thing that Nintendo could do to this game, in my opinion. Because then we don't have to worry about assumed tracks and keeping track of all these cities versus, like, to me that would be the ultimate keeping interest. And again, I think everyone's inventory and everyone's spreadsheets are just busted open. So I don't know if you've thought about that Armageddon, that doomsday there, Tabor. But I mean, I'm sure that week you'd be working overtime on your spreadsheet.
Yeah. So when level 7 hit, it took me a long time to get everything caught up on all that. And I mean, I'm not against changes. Changes are great. And I'm one of those people that have been grinding since I hit 150, anticipating 200, because I want to go straight to 200 when it comes out. And it's been long enough that it might just happen if it ever does, because I've been grinding, draining XP all over the place. Kind of hitting my limit though, because I keep getting disappointed that 200's not showing up, so I'm having a hard time staying motivated. But yeah, I mean, city courses are fine. I think one thing that I think people forget is that we have over 220 courses that they have designed. Now that includes the N's and the R's and the T's and the RT's, but that's just a lot of courses that Nintendo's done in a very short amount of time comparatively. So I think we still need to continue to give them a lot of credit. A lot of people grumble, they haven't made this, they haven't made that, they haven't made this, I really want this, or I'm quitting. Let's be a little lenient toward Nintendo. They've given us a lot on this game that costs $0 if we wanted to. So I mean, they've done a lot, and I think that they get a lot of credit. But I don't know. I mean, some changes need to happen, yes, and hopefully they're listening to feedback. But overall, it's been a good run. I don't want it to end anytime soon. But at the same time, and this brings me to my point, is that in any game, mostly, there's always I hate to say it, because I know there's people out there that don't want it, there's always a reset point. Because, I mean, something's got to give. We've got so many drivers, so many karts, so many gliders, so many courses. We're going to get to the point where we're going to only see a course every 3 months because they're rotating so many things in. So I think, when's the breaking point? Are they going to reset, or are they going to just end the game? What's going to happen? We don't know. But there's a lot of what ifs out there.
That's a great point. I think even when we had say this 1.5 anniversary that took over 3 tours, which was a month and a half, and we kind of had like this these 2 filler tours, or what I considered like a teaser tour, an appetizer tour, and an entree tour. We've also I feel like had that with these last 2 tours, and then we've had there's DK versus Bowser, and then we've had another filler tour. So it's almost like been 2 filler tours and then like a grand tour, and then now we're 2 filler tours, and then we saw while we're on the topic of data mining, we saw this banner about this new update that's coming, and I think from that perspective, that something's got to give there. Something has got literally this game. These last 2 tours have been excruciating and very painful. Really, just 2 or 3 new items. This Rumby Runner, and then these 2 items, and maybe these black toe beans. Like those are the items, new items last tour, plus these 2 new items this tour. Like something is about to hit, and I do feel like this is the calm before the storm. It is about to go down. I don't know if it's level 200. I don't know if it's cities. But I do sense something in the air that Nintendo. I don't know if you want to call it reset or not call it reset, but something's about to pop, and I'm hoping it's cities amongst the game, but who knows? Man, all right, that went. This is good. I love having you here, Tabor. This is phenomenal. Now let's get to our regularly scheduled program about who got buffed. We'll start with drivers. My man, King Bob Gold. He is king right now, and in fact, you can see right there in the top left corner, he is number 3 on our list. I have him triple capped. I love this guy. He is now up to 19 tracks. Got some serious buffage. Now, of course, 3 of those are RT tracks, and we want to treat them like normal tracks, but it does have a little bit of a stigma. But I mean, to be honest with you, the fact that he has so many great tracks and they keep buffing him, all those people who pulled him are enjoying a fun guy. I do feel like he is the light at the end of the tunnel right now, and where the game is everyone is having so much fun using this guy, and he keeps getting buffed, and everyone is enjoying at least that part of the game. So kudos to Nintendo for putting him out there. We'll see what happens with this guy who got 2 buffs this week, and that's the Shy Guy Ninja. He, along with Baby Mario, Koala, Penguin Toad, and also the Green Shy Guy, all got 2 new tracks. Overall, the one that kind of sticks out is that Shy Guy Ninja. We still don't know what his value long term is going to be. He has 1 city. He's got 16 tracks now, 1 more than Penguin Todd. But we'll see what happens, man. I have some tickets. I've been saving tickets and ready to pull the trigger and put it on Shy Guy Ninja. They just have to give him the tracks. They just have to give him what I feel like is a major buff. But he is nowhere close to King Bob on Gold, and that's just flat out. I don't think there's any denying there. As for the drivers who got 1 new track, Birdo Black, a sneaky driver there, and most of the tracks, for whatever reason, Birdo Black has been getting. It seems to be involved in ranked. Some of the newer ones at least. Birdo Mario got 1 new track. For someone who's been around for a while, to only have 15 tracks and now passed by Birdo Black is very surprising. Cat Todd now up to 14. Dixie Kong. I know I'm using her for rank this week, and thanks to last week's pipe. Did some damage there. So those 18 tracks, of course, a lot of those have coin boxes, but I'll be using her this week, and that'll be fun. I'm enjoying the triple bananas, but I'm also realizing the triple bananas is just not a giant banana. It is not a giant banana. To me, I was excited about using her, and I've been using her, and I'm just like, man, it's just not a giant banana, and so that's okay. That's okay. We know that. I was expecting it was kind of like a giant banana light, but it hasn't been quite as impactful as I was hoping. Wherever they...
Yeah, I don't...
You want to add something to that?
King Bob as well. King Bob Gold, he's a great one to use because I do have him, but man, if there's one driver that I don't enjoy using, it's Dixie Kong, just because I feel like that triple banana frenzy's broken, so it's tough to try to rack up the points when you're only really dropping 1 when it should be 3, and man, the sound that she makes, oh goodness. I like to keep my volume on because I gotta hear it to be able to continue my streaks of combos and everything. My goodness, she's just blood curdling every drop. especially with the trick tour. She jumps and jumps and jumps and screams, and I'm just going crazy.
Oh man, yeah, it's definitely not one that you want to have the volume on in public. People are gonna think you lost your mind. Dry Bones Gold, and feel free to jump in here at the end of the slide. But Dry Bones Gold now up to 20 tracks, still number 2 on our list. He is still our top coin boxer for at least one more tour. And then we have Fire Rosalina, 18 tracks. My man, Lakitu Party Time did get one new track, so he's up to 19 now. Number 4 still on our top 10 list. Luigi Lederhosen up to 19. That's nice for him. He's been sneaky as well. Pauline Rose, 17. A lot of people have been calling her clutch, but with her skill, I don't see that lasting very long. White Yoshi up to 17. He's been a part of ranked here as well. But again, with 3 and 2 cities, I'm not getting excited about Pauline Rose or White Yoshi. Yeah, that's fun to be able to use them for the 1 week or 2 weeks that are in ranked. But long term, they'll add another Coinbox driver and take away all the tracks. That's just how it has. And then last, Blue Yoshi with 10 non-city tracks, 1 city track. So Tabor, anything you want to add here to who got buffed on the drivers before you take it into carts?
Yeah, so I agree with you. I don't think Pauline Rose has a lot of value, but the one thing that stands out about her is that she is the only, I don't know if I should say that. She's been around for 8 tours, and all 8 tours she's been in ranked at least once. She has the longest ranked streak of any driver right now, of 8 tours in a row in ranked.
Wow.
I mean, that's good, and there's an argument there to say that she's valuable, but that's only one category, which is why I go through a lot of different categories. Her skill's not great. Her course coverage is only at 17 compared to some other ones, but, I mean, there's an argument there, but no, I still don't think she's as valuable as some of the other ones. The thing that stood out to me about these drivers is that there was more than last tour, obviously, in terms of who got buffed. But there's some quality people in it. There's some quality drivers that got buffed. People that you really wanted to get buffed did. Lakitu Party Time, King Bomb Gold, Shy Guy Ninja. A lot of people are really holding out on him to be able to do really well. Even Penguin Toad, a lot of people are really doing well or holding out on. So I mean, there was some really good ones in this. And it was some exciting buffs, and I'm excited to see what happens. What happens in the next tour.
Good point. And even Dry Bones Gold, man, it's been a while since I've seen him on this list.
Yeah, it's been a while. So then we jump into carts, and there's a little bit more here, a little bit more action here compared to the drivers. We do have 2 people that ended up getting 3 buffs this tour. As you can see, Black Turbo Berto got 3, puts him up to 17 with 1 city. Ramby Rider got 3. Again, he was brand new a couple tours ago. He's already up to 12, no cities on him.
Just in one tour. Wow, that's 12 after just one tour. That's a lot. But I guess he had a lot of old tracks, right? And now he's got some RT. Yes. Gotcha. Okay.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And then 9 different cards ended up getting 2. So Black Penguin Slider, for me personally, that one bailed me out in the RMX Choco Island. I was able to have him, and he's the only one that was on top shelf. So luckily, I was able to use that one. But all the way up to 15 with 1 city. Crimson Hop Rod got 2. Inferno Flyer, Jade Hop Rod, both got 2 as well. They're at 11 and 13 respectively. Jet Cruiser and Purple Bunny both got 2, 12 and 15. Rose Taxi, going along with Pauline Rose, got 2, up to 16. Sakura Quickshaw has 15 now with 1 city. And White Turbo Yoshi has 14 now. Kind of in the same boat as some of the other ones. They're starting to build a little quicker than what we were anticipating, but nothing crazy. Nobody's broken 20 yet, this recent group. But probably by next tour, something will happen. These 7 down here only got 1 buff, but some decent ones down here. B-Dasher Mark II got 1. Cact Ice, Decal Streamliner, Dozer Dasher, which, it's always weird whenever a Spotlight only gets 1 buff. You'd think a Spotlight is a Spotlight, and they would make them special for some reason and get at least 2. But whatever. Orange Streamliner got one. Wild Pink, which is an up-and-coming cart, and Blue Royale also got one as well.
Yeah, I think I'd be curious from your data to get a longer look at that, at what Wild Pink has been doing. For me, it seems like to me it was it. I remember talking about it when it was first being released as potentially as a best case scenario, being like the Black Kabuki Dasher, in that it was getting Maple Treeway. It was getting like all these great tracks right after it was released from a special pipe, and I feel like Wild Pink is following a nearly identical path, which is, hey, it was released in a pipe, and now it's getting track after track after track. I'm sure it'll die off in the same way that we haven't seen that Black Kabuki Dasher in a while, but right now it is pumped full of energy, and number 15 on our list.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, moving into the last section of Who Got Buffed with gliders. We have no gliders with 3 new tracks, but we have now 5 that got 2 tracks, which we have the 8-bit Bullet Bill with 11, which again, I love the look of it, but we got back-to-back 8-bits here with 8-bit Fireflower up to 15. I know this has been a sneaky whale investment here, up to 15 now, 4 cities. It's a lot of cities. We have the Black Great Sale, which now up to 19 tracks. That's a lot of tracks, Tabor. Number 11 on our list with just 1 city. It obviously was a major part of the big pipe a tour or 2 ago, but it's been one that I personally love the look. I'm suspecting this will be a top 10 glider. I mentioned it last tour. Now that it's hit 11, I'm very confident it will be a top 10 glider. It just looks so cool. And one of the things that I've always noticed is that we rarely have 2 of the same. In fact, I don't think we ever have, and someone could tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've ever had 2 of the same type of item, whether it be a strawberry donut or a chocolate donut. Like the chocolate donut always just held back, and it was the strawberry donut that always was on top in that top 10. So from that perspective, we've never had the regular Great Sale as a part of the top 10, and so why not? This is such a cool looking glider. It wouldn't surprise me if Nintendo allowed one of the 2 to be in the top 10. The Black Sale looks like it'll break that list, and I'm suspecting. I never like to do too much predicting, except for just to let you know this is one that if you have to put tickets on it, it's on the rise. It's one of those that I wouldn't have any shame putting tickets into. Surfmaster, maybe not so much. The Silver Manta Glider, though, is not too far behind the Black's Great Sale, and they obviously had very similar origins and being brought back in the same pipe there too. Anything you want to add to these +2 items here, Tabor?
The 8-bits I think are starting to get value. We've already talked about 8-bit Star a little bit, and I think these are starting to get recognized as well. And again, the 4 cities on 8-bit Fireflower is a little disheartening, but it's got 15, and I think it's going to continue to improve. But I really like the look of both of those, and like you said, Black Great Sale, I think it's a mover. It's starting to get some attention, and we'll just have to continue to keep a cautious eye and see what happens.
Good. As for the gliders that all got 1 buff, we have a lot here. The one thing I'll mention that is common amongst all 3 items, whether it's drivers, carts, and gliders, that we've seen some of the rich get richer. We've seen some top items continue to see more buffs. Things like the Dry Bones Gold, and you alluded to the Party Time Lakitu, and some of these great drivers that have been in the top 10 getting additional buffs. We see that here in the bottom as well, between the 8-bit Star, which is number 8 on our list, up to 19 tracks, the Choco Donut, up to 18 tracks, number 14 on our list. You'll notice here the Dry Bowser Umbrella, number 1 on our list. That is right. You knew I was going to bring this up. Number 21 total tracks, or non-city tracks, plus 4 cities. And then even the Calico Parafoil gets another track as well, up to 19 tracks. So those are the ones I'm pointing out. I think nothing else really stands out too great. I will say the Starry Great Sale, I was expecting a little bit more buff But maybe they're holding out for a non-RT type of tour. But I mean, from that perspective, 8-bit Star, Calico Parafoil, Dry Bowser Umbrella. I mean, these are gliders that have been in our top 10 for the last, I think, 2 or 3 tours. And so to get the even more buffs, meanwhile you have stuff like the Starry Great Self saying like, "Hey, give me a track, I only got 9." So just interesting to see that there. And those are the ones I'd pick out. Yeah, there's some people that are big fans of the Snow Crystals, and some other people that are fans of the Ninja Scroll. For me, I'm gonna have to wait and see. I mean, the one thing that I've noticed here recently, and I'll kind of use this one last point before I turn things over to you, Tabor, but the Cheap Mask, right? When it came out, it wasn't very popular. It was, released, and not a lot of things happened with it. It was released in the 100 pipe, and then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, just spiked with value. And I do think that that could happen, with some of these. So I don't want anyone to think like we're knocking the Ninja Scroll, we're knocking the Snow Crystals. It would be more of a wait and see approach versus if you have to put tickets on the Calico Parafoil or obviously the Dry Bowser Umbrella, do it. Just do it now, because right now is when they're peaking. Hold off on some of those items that have not reached that peak yet. I'll turn things over to you, Tabor, and then we'll jump into our top 10.
Yeah, so real quick, something that didn't get buffed, a glider that didn't get buffed this tour but has a lot of value is Silver Bells. Silver Bells is used, as we know, every tour. There's 6 ranked courses. Silver Bell is a top shelf, level 1 in 3 of them this week. So if you have some spare tickets, even if you have to spend 2 of them to move it from 3 to 4 or from 4 to 5, that's equivalent to spending 6 on 3 different gliders. So, I mean, it's definitely a good investment. I myself decided to go ahead and put 2 tickets on it to move it from 4 to 5 and also to double cap it. I had some extra glider cap tickets. I decided to go ahead and double cap it and move it up, and it's paying dividends. I'm using it twice this week, and I'm going to use it once next week. So, I mean, it's another glider to take a look at. Even though it's not buffed, it's got some value this tour.
Interesting. All right, cool. Let's jump into the top 10 before we get too involved in those specific items. This is your platform. This is your time to be able to defend your top 10. I feel like I've been, for no reason whatsoever, defending it, but explain your algorithm and explain, I guess, there is a very big difference between this and the other great resources such as BAM and GURBS. Definitely use that spreadsheet for your own items. But leverage this platform you have, Tabor, to explain the top 10 and talk a little bit about it, since I think the last time that they heard you talk about it was probably about 6 months ago.
Yeah, so it's been a while, and things have been tweaked maybe 3 or 4 months ago, but this has been about the same thing this is exactly the same thing that I've been using ever since then, and I know that ever since you updated this slide on your rundown. But as we mentioned before, if you're part of Discord or if you've heard Studfit try to explain, I apologize for that. Studfit explained this very well. There are 5 categories that I use whenever I try to, put a number on each of these items, and that's the thing about it. I mean, it's hard to do. These are the categories that I deem as important, and that Studfit and I kind of came up with, as well as some other people. And other people have other tier lists and other rankings, and that's great. I'm not trying to say this is better than others, but this is the one that kind of Sammy D on Kart Life has decided to use. This is the one that I'm continuing to use, each and every tour. And if you don't like it, it doesn't agree with you, and obviously it doesn't take into account any of your inventory, what levels things are, what levels other things are compared to the ones that I'm spotlighting. So just take it with a grain of salt, but I'm just kind of saying that if everything was even, if everybody started from scratch and you had to pick a glider or a cart or a driver, and which one is the most valuable in the game, these are kind of what we came up with. So these are the 5 categories, and I don't want to go into too much, but we talked about the skill of the item, whether it be the driver's skill, whether it be the glider skill or the cart skill. I put a survey out a long time ago, honestly, before Super Bell came out, and I had 70 plus Mario Kart players rank them, and then I kind of averaged that all out and then put it in there. I really need to send out another survey soon, because I feel like that some people have decided to use some items a little differently, especially like Boomerang with Boombox. They've kind of seen some value on that, so that might jump a little bit, or they might heard some other ones. So I'm going to probably be putting this together in the near future to get some more advice or another ranking of these skills. Weighted rank value, every different items are in the game for different amounts of time. And so I kind of judge on how often they're used in rank. Now, obviously, characters like Pauline or Mario Musician, they've been in the game a lot longer than Rambi Runner or Toadette, Builder Toadette. So, someone is going to honestly have an advantage from early on the longer than they're in the game because they have more opportunity to be used in rank. So what I do is I kind of look at the ranked courses of which one are in there, and I do a multiplier in there to try to average things out. But again, this isn't going to be great. The ones that are in the game are going to always have a little bit better than the ones that are recent. So I use that as a category, but then to offset that, I added this third category, which is ranked mode percentage use. I look at the percentage of times that they're used in ranked compared to how often since they've been introduced. So right now, Builder Toadette is going to have a pretty high percentage of being used in ranked because there's only 6 compared to. Mario Musician has a huge number compared to it. It's going to have a pretty lower percentage. So I kind of use that to offset the ranked value that I have in the second category. Then course coverage value, as it says here, I look at the top shelf courses that are given a value of each one. So when let's say for an example that a driver is in Dino Dino Jungle, then I look at how many other top shelf drivers are also in Dino Dino Jungle. Because, when we look at RMX, Choco Island, 1RT, I believe there's only 5 top shelf drivers. So they're both going to have, or all 5 of those are going to have a huge course coverage value compared to, the ones that are not top shelf. So I kind of do that, and then I do 1 divided by that value. I add those together, and then I assign that at what I call a CCV value, and I compare that across all items in that category. And then finally, the WCV, and this is where it really has to do with what is a ranked course, or excuse me, I look at each item, I look at their coverage, and then I break it down by an N coverage, an R coverage, a T, an RT, and a city, an L3, and an L6, and how often they were used in rank. And then I assign them a value according to that, and then I achieve some sort of score, and then I compare them as well to see who's got the best WCVs. So then I kind of bashed heads with Studfit and a couple other people, and we decided that with drivers, skill is more important, but for karts and gliders, skill is not as important. And I use these percentages to assign them how we're going to weight them, and then finally I come together and make the overall value, which is what you're going to see on the next few slides.
Good. Yeah. Just one last thing about that is if you think about it, like its interest or its usage in ranked, is essentially 34%. But then there's 2 sides of those coins, and they kind of hedge each other, which is number and percentage. And with the more number, usually the percentage is lower, and you kind of have them balancing each other out and hedging each other. And then the other side of things, the course coverage and the weighted course coverage together is over 50%. 54%. So from that perspective, that's the biggest score. And so coverage is king. Coverage is what gets you really high on this list. And you could just look at a coverage number and say, hey, okay, 20 tracks is higher than 19 tracks, so I'm going to invest here. And that's the good eyeball of it all. But from that perspective, it's also good to know some of these other. So not all tracks and not all coverages are the same. If they put everyone on a track, then everyone has that track, but you're not going to use Rosalina Fire, whatever, if there's a coin box on the track. So from that perspective, it is important to keep everything in consideration. I love the top 10 algorithm, Tabor, and I want you to jump right into our top 10 drivers for the tour.
Yeah, so as you're going to find out in the next couple slides, it's not a great tour, but there's been a lot of change-ups, some shake-ups happening in all 3 of the drivers and karts and gliders. So we'll go ahead and start this off. I'm gonna, as you can see, Nabbit and Drybones Gold. No change. No change to them. Nabbit's doing really great. Drybones Gold is still staying strong. As we saw, you got a buff this time. King Bama moved up 3. He was introduced to the top 10 last tour for the first time as number 6. He was one of the fastest movers we've ever had jump into the top 10, and he's even continuing to improve. I know a lot of people think that he's the number 1 driver, and I can understand that because he's useful this tour and Nabbit is not so much, and so I get that. But again, I kind of take things all long term and look at things across the board, and so he is moving, and he could possibly potentially take that number 1 spot soon because he's got great momentum right now. Lakitu Party Time still a strong candidate and stayed in 4th. Peach Wedding fell 2 spots from 3 to 5. 6. Pink Gold Peach did move up 2 spots from 8 to 2. Black Yoshi staying put at 7. Rose the Swimwear did move up 1 spot from 9 to 8. King Boo Gold did move down 4 spots. I don't think King Boo Gold has any use in ranked this tour. And Penguin Luigi did move up from 14 to 10. It has some value this tour as well. And then looking at those last 5, Mario Halloween is 11. Mario Chef is 12. Peach Vacation 13. King Bomb Regular is 14. And Bowser Santa is 15. A lot of coin box in this top 15, but it doesn't dominate like some of the earlier ones that we had done. Coin box drivers were all over the top 4, top 5. It's being a little bit more spaced out now. We've got a more diverse assortment of drivers this time.
Yeah, it's always great seeing coin box drivers and Lucky 7, and it'd be nice to see a Giant Banana, or nice to see a Boomerang driver up here. But yeah, a pretty eclectic group. But the one thing I will point out is, kind of to your point about Gold King Babam, is that if you think about a lot of the gold drivers, a lot of the have coin box. A lot of them have a original that they became a gold version of that was either a super or a normal. Gold King Babam, obviously he is the gold version of a high end, which is to me again, I don't know what's going on, but to me that just seems like it's got a little bit more oomph to it. It's got a little bit more power to it. I think about even Gold Dry Bowser. He doesn't have coin box, but even his coverage is baller compared to some of the other gold items. That obviously him not having coin box probably hurt his value, but his coverage is really great. So I don't know. To me that's like that's one of the reasons why I jumped the gun a little bit by putting a lot of tickets on him, but it is paying off, and I do believe this is true. No matter what the item is that if Nintendo has made it easily accessible, I think that Nintendo is willing to buff it more often than not. And I think thinking back to this time last year, that Gold Koopa free running, like he got a lot of big buffs. But he never really broke our top 5. He never even really probably broke our top 7. But I think that any item that's in a gold pass or that's readily available or whatever it might be, just it gets some nice good buffs, and I think people feel good about their gold pass purchases and everything. But I mean, he was so easily accessible in that pipe. I mean, being a spotlight in a very small pipe. I'm curious to find out the data. My guess is that 90% of every single person playing this game has him. I just don't. I mean, it might even be higher than that. Yeah, so from that perspective, I think he's going to rise. I think it's just a matter of time before he is the top coin box driver, and it's just probably a matter of time before he's the number 1 driver in the game as well. So there you go. There's my soapbox, Dave. Anything you want to take away from that?
No, all good points.
All right, good. Moving into Karts. This is the one I was so excited. I said, hey, Tabor, let's kind of trade off some slides, but I have to cover this slide because my Black Dozer is number 1. I am a big fan of this. I've triple capped it a couple weeks ago. It is all over the place. Of course, it's been in packs and pipes and whatever, but it has been all over the place. It has been phenomenal. In fact, I almost kind of want to do the next slide too because I happen to be right about a couple of different things. This Black Dozer was just one of them. but we had the Happy Ride. I'm curious how long it's been in the number one spot. But it had its trinkets up. It was making itself home at number one, and it has finally been dethroned. I just know I'm using my Black Dozer all over the place. I literally open up a new tour for like the last 3 or 4 tours, and just I'm smiling there with just I can't believe they gave it Frappe Snowland. I can't believe they gave it this. I can't believe they keep giving it so many tracks. It's so valuable. No surprise here to it as the number one. I think the only other one that seems to be on the rise that's new is number 4 on our list, that Crawley Kart. But it unfortunately not a big user in ranked for this week, even though it was very, very popular for a number of weeks. And then the only one in the top 4 I haven't talked about yet is the Wild Black, which gets a nice little four spot boost there. You want to talk a little bit about I know you were doing some research for me on why the Wild Black, even though not getting a buff, went up 4 spots. Any resolution there?
So a lot of people ask me about this. Why did so and so end up moving up? Either they didn't get buffed, or they're not in ranked, or things like that. And I think a lot of people need to continue to look at both sides of the story. Not only is a cart changing or an item changing by going up or down, but the other thing to keep in mind is that the other things around it are moving as well. So it's not necessarily that an item improved; it's that the ones around it did worse. So I did a little bit of research, and I did see that of these 15 cards on this list that Studfit's going to talk more about, only 3 of them are a top shelf in this year's rank. So obviously Black Dozer is one of them, but there's not very many others that are. Wild Black is as well, but Happy Ride is not, Crawley Kart is not, Off-Roader is not. So a lot of them ended up moving down because they didn't have an extra ranked appearance this week. So therefore, Wild Black looks better than it probably is, just because it has 1 ranked appearance, and it jumped up ahead of some other ones that were kind of stagnant.
Thanks for going into that detail. I appreciate that. And a lot of these, I feel like the really maybe 2 to 6 are all kind of neck and neck. They seem like they've been kind of like literally just 1 ranked appearance could pop it up 4 spots, and that's kind of what you're kind of alluding to with the Wild Black is. It's kind of addition by subtraction. It's moving up, and they're all kind of like neck and neck, so it looks a lot bigger. But still, I mean, to say it's a number 3 card is no surprise there. Crawley Kart number 4, as I mentioned. Off-Roader at 5. Rose Queen holding down number 6. The Fast Frank, it's been pretty volatile. It's seen some great days in its past, but it's still number 7 on our list. We'll see if it is able to hold some consistency over time. It just seems like it's always moving either up or down multiple spots. Gilded King, on the other hand, has held down at number 8 for tours now. It's obviously one of my favorites due to the colors. And then we have the Pumpkin Cart up 2 spots to 9. Had Honcho down 1 spot to number 10. Choco Macaroon at 11. Cheap Snorkel at 12. Blue Soda at 13. Gold Cheap Charger at 14. And the Wild Pink at 15. It's interesting. Got some beach-related items that are on that list, and then you got the Wild Pink, which is breaking our 15. We'll see. My guess is it's kind of going to stay in that 11 to 15 range. I don't think it'll break our top 10, but stranger things have happened. So anything you want to add about Karts, Tabor?
Wild Pink is the biggest mover of these 15 in terms of the number of spots. Wild Pink did move up 5 spots from 20 to 15. Wild Black is the second one with moving up 4. But again, Wild Pink's moving. We'll just have to see if it plateaus or if it continues to improve.
Yeah, I might just in my own free time go back and look at some of the old rundowns and see what happened to that Black Kabuki Dasher. If I remember correctly, it kind of topped. It might have finished at its peak at number 10 on our list, but it never did much more than that. I feel like it stayed at 11 or 12 for a good 4 or 5 tours. So that's my trajectory that I'm imagining for the Wild Pink, and that's probably what I'm gonna lean towards. Now this next slide. I hate to do my own horn, but this is from the Cat Tour. I had to talk a little bit about this. You can see on the bottom, this date was from January 30th, and I wanted to do something fun. I wanted to make a prediction for 2021, a changing of the guard, a handing of the baton. You guys have been beaten to death on this, but if you look, I kind of point to the Black Dozer and the Gilded King. As potentially, I kind of named it as the Wild Black of 2021, and it was it was mentioned there alongside of some other cards, and unfortunately, those other cards didn't see a lot of great buffs. I mean, the Dreamy Egg is an awesome card. I really wish they'd give it some love, but I just kind of want to put it out there. I named that, but I'm less proud about that, and even more proud that I talked about this until I was blue in the face. I was trying to name the next Dragon Wings, and I specifically pointed out some of the items that were in packs or and entering pipes, and I specifically, and you know this, I've been mentioning every single week, the Dry Bowser Umbrella, the Dry Bowser Umbrella, the Dry Bowser Umbrella. One day it will take place as the number one. So Tabor, take it away. What is our number one glider?
Yeah, our number one glider, as you can see, ended up jumping 3 spots from number 4 to number 1 is Dry Bowser Umbrella.
Ta-da! I think I mean I probably wasn't the only one thinking that. It's obviously it was green shell and had some other items to it, but I think from this perspective, we've seen Dragon Wings, we've seen Happy Ride, we've seen them holding down that number one spot. So this was a moving and shaking tour for the really, because I mean the baton was being handed all year, and now we're basically as the end of the tour will wrap up. We're halfway through the year, literally 6 months into this actual calendar year, and now the baton has been officially handed, and that is why Tabor, our schedules are crazy. I had to have you on here because this is such a moving and shaking top 10. Walk us through the rest of the gliders.
Yeah, so I mean, take a look at the ups and downs. There is not a stagnant item on here. Even if we saw the ups and downs on 11 through 15, none of them stayed put. So this was a very exciting list. Once I got everything finalized and I took a look, because I mean, I don't affect this. This screen on my spreadsheet, I don't do anything with. I do everything else. I input data everywhere else, and then finally, when I'm done, I look at what the result is. And this is where I ended up seeing on how these things look. So as you can see, Dry Bowser Umbrella replaced Dragon Wings after Dragon Wings was top spot for I don't know how long, probably even longer than Happy Ride was top spot in the Karts. And so I mean, this is exciting, and a lot of people have been calling for Dry Bowser Umbrella to be the number one glider because it's, they're like, how is Dragon Wings number one? I never use it. And again, it's all depending on where your levels are and what inventory that you have, and I get that. So again, this doesn't have to do with inventory. This just kind of looks at an even playing field across the board and seeing what we believe is the most valuable item. So Dry Bowser moved up 3 spots. Dragon Wing is still strong, moved down 1. Sunset Balloons moved down 1 from 2 to 3s. And Gold Crane moved down 1 from 3 to 4. Again, all very solid. Whenever we see a down, please don't ever think that they're getting worse or that they're not a good item. They're still great. They're still on this list. We're still talking about them. So keep that in mind as you continue to see this. And trends are trends. Sometimes people go down. Sometimes then they'll bounce back up. So time will tell. And then rounding out the top 5, Strawberry Donut did move up from number 6 to number 1. So a bit of a shakeup there in the top 5, but really 4 of the 5 were in the top 5 before. They're just in a different order. Number 6, Super Mario Kart Glider did move down from 5 to 6. Calico Parafoil did move up from 7 to 8, moved up 1 spot. 8-Bit Star was a big shocker. It moved up 7 spots from 15 to 8.
Why was that?
Got to use this tour, and it has some value. Got some buffs as well.
So Tabor, why did it jump up so much? Is it ranked appearance? Is it some of the buffs it's got?
So a lot of it is because of the buffs. Anytime an item is buffed, you're always going to see that it's going to have a jump it's going to have a chance to jump at least. It just depends on what's going on. In terms of ranked, let me pull that up real quick. In terms of ranked, I believe that 8-bit stars in a top shelf and ranked twice this tour. So I mean, it's again compared to some of the other ones, it's got more going on for it than what the other ones is. Plus now it's a little bit more easily available because it's in a package, but that doesn't have anything to do with this list. But it's got some value and it's increasing, and we'll just have to see what, again, like some of the other ones, if it plateaus or if it's going to continue to stay strong.
Along the same lines, when we think about it, like say Sunset Balloons and 8-bit Star, I don't know if they came out around maybe a tour or two away from each other, and I think Sunset Balloons, it jumped up real quick, and then it's really has maybe moved up one or down one or up one again. It's been much more gradual here recently, whereas the 8-bit Star, it's been all over the place. It jumped into our top 10 very, very quickly. It jumped out of our top 10 just as quick as it got there, and now it's back. And so, I think this volatility, some of these items are always ones to keep note of versus ones that continue to rise up. So, like, when we're looking at the Dry Bowser, this up 3 might have been the biggest jump it's ever made. It seems to just kind of have added 2 or maybe 3, but like it's been 1 or 2, I feel like, almost every single tour until it got to this point. And we kind of saw that same trajectory with Dragon Wings, and I think from that perspective, those are always good things to see. Like the Calico Parafall, I don't know where that'll go. I don't know if it'll go up or down. I'm sure the 8-bit Star will go down 6 and then up 8 and then down. It just seems to be so volatile, and it's brought back and kind of shown off in our faces, and then it just seems to be hidden for a little bit. So sorry to take away some of what you're talking about, but from that perspective, it did jump up 7, and it's good to kind of understand a little bit of the math behind.
No, I agree. There's always, even in our list on this, I think there's some risky ones and there's some consistent ones, and the top 5 have been very, very consistent as of late. The bottom 5 honestly has as well, except for 8-bit Star. It's pretty volatile, so it's just kind of take it as you feel is where the appropriate risk needs to be made. Gold Glider went down 2 from 7 to 9, and Gold Swooper went down 1 from 9 to 10. Both of them are Coin Plus. Again, both very good gliders. All 10 of these are. And then we have 11 through 15 Black Grade Sale. We've already talked about extensively. It actually moved up 11 spots from 22 to 11. Again, we'll just have to see what the future holds for that, but right now it's got some momentum. Starshoot ended up moving down 1 from 11 to 12. Silver Bells, I just talked about, it's been ranked 3 times, twice this week, once next week. It moved up 13 spots. It was one of the biggest movers of everything. It moved up from 26 to 13. A lot of it has to do, it didn't get any buffs, but a lot of it has to do with the fact that it was in ranked 3 times and it's got some usefulness. Chocolate Donut ended up moving up 4 spots from 18 to 14. And then Silver Manta Glider ended up also moving up 5 spots from 20 to 15. So again, all 15 of these have been moving. And as you can see, there's not a single stagnant one in place, and it's exciting to see a shakeup like this, because even though a lackluster tour can happen, there's still some major ramifications that can happen because of it.
Yeah, I don't want to spend too much more time on this because we're already a quarter after an hour. But the Silver Bell is one of the things that I'm intrigued about now that we're seeing it so many times. Is like what is its RT presence versus non-RT tracks, and so is it going to see this spike every time we have a trick tour, or every time this is brought back, and then it's going to be put back on the shelf? Is this just like a highlight due to the type of tour that we have? Maybe time will tell. Now going to All Cup ranking MVPs, you have Toadette, Builder Toadette, Builder Luigi, Pink Dozer, obviously big parts of this tour due to the nature of this builder trick tour. Getting to 7, we have Dry Bones Gold, a massive driver that most people have. It's in a pack in week 2. It's going to be really, really important for All Cup ranking, especially obviously being coin box. And we've talked about Silver Bells a number of different times, but surprised, Ice Mario, okay. So Ice Mario is a part of 7 different tracks. We rarely see him in an All-Cup ranking MVP list, so if you have him and you have him at a high level, most likely you do, just from pulling him on accident and probably kicking yourself every time you do. He has 7 tracks for the All-Cup ranking, but Silver Bell is definitely a monster. I think I might have to put some tickets on it. I'm fighting it though. We'll see what happens. Penguin Luigi, 6 tracks this tour. Wild Black and Steel Driver. Steel Driver, interesting. With 6 tracks for the All Cup ranking of this tour. Bright Glider, surprising one, and Soaring Jack. Never seen that on any list, even buff list. I just never see that. So interesting there. 6 tracks for the Soaring Jack. Anything you want to add before you wrap us up?
I mean, other than the fact that I just want everybody to know that when I do these rankings, I do not take ACR involved. I don't look at anything other than I look at their skill, I look at their course coverage, their individual course coverage, and then I look at what's useful in ranked. I don't look for what's useful in not ranked. So just keep that in mind that I'm primarily ranked based when it comes to the value of these lists that I create.
In fact, Tabor keeps asking me to take this slide out because he just could not care less about All Cup ranking. But no, I'm just joking. But for me, this is very important for me to know is if I do put some tickets on, like right now, I'm having to make this decision on Silver Bells or the toe bean balloons, and I'm weighing it out. And so the thought process for me is I have the toe bean balloons, which does give me from the Bam and Gerbs list some good tracks. And it's a new. The main intriguingness is the fact that it's a newer glider. So when new tracks come out, I can have a glider that's up at a higher list. And the fact that it's pink kind of goes with some of the Cat Peach and kind of goes with the Wild Pink and even the Cat Cruiser. So like when things are kind of like going up together, I'd love to kind of ride that train as long as I can. So, but then you also have the Silver Bells, and it's just so valuable this tour. The one thought is like if I invested this tour, of course, all these are RT tracks, and I wonder what happens in the future. So I'm weighing all this, and I'm literally at a standstill. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I at this point in time, I'm looking at Bam and Gerb's spreadsheet and trying to weigh things out, and then I see this list, and now I'm flip flopping. So that's the thought process: is you take a look at this sheet, you're looking at your own inventory, you're looking at what matters to you. If you don't do All Cup ranking, just go ahead and skip to the next part of the video, and that's perfectly fine. I have no problem. I'm trying to provide information that the person who cares about the game just a little bit more than the average person would want to know, and I think those people care a little bit about this information. But it hasn't. Tabor, you're absolutely right. Your algorithms, your lists, your top lists, that has nothing to do with this. So I agree with you there. It is helpful to clear that up. And then finally, if you could just take us away into some of the unlocked items for this tour between the 2 cups for ranked.
Yeah, so as we know that when level 3 and level 6 showed up, we had some options where you could use newer items based on their levels in a course. And so a lot of people, as we know, whenever a item is not within one level of it doesn't show up as an option. We know that if a level 2 item if a level 3 item is in top shelf, if you have it at level 2, you'll see that. But if it's level 1, you won't. So a lot of people don't realize that they're only a couple of tickets away, potentially, from having a new character, which would really help them in rank. So that's a great use to have it on this slide, because this shows anything that's level 3 or level 6 that could potentially help you get better scores, especially in ranked. As you try to get rubies and get coins and improve your level and everything like that. So typically, and this is also true here, but RMX Choco Island 1RT doesn't have any L3 or L6s, so you just are given what you're given for your L1s, which again is not much. I think there's only 5 in each category: 5 drivers, 5 cars, 5 gliders. And so you just gotta hope beyond hope that you've got something that will cover that. Frappe Snowland has 3 drivers that are L3s: Rosalina, Aurora, Peach, and Yoshi, which are great because if you've got some supers, then odds are they're going to show up anyway by this point in the time in the game, depending on when you started. So those are some options. For Karts, Chrome DK Jumbo and Light Blue Turbo Birdo are also both L3s, again, both supers. And then we have 4 high ends. 3 of them are L3s. Soaring Jack, Strawberry Crepe, Sweetheart Glider are all 3 L3s. And then Butterfly Prism is an L6. So again, if you have any of those that are close, it wouldn't hurt to put some tickets on it if those will be your best bet going into that ranked course. Royal Raceway RT doesn't have any drivers or any gliders that are L3 or L6, but it does have a couple karts. Pink Dozer is L3, and Inferno Flyer is L6. Both those could be helpful. Airship Fortress RT is the second new course on this tour. It does have Builder Toadette, have an L6, so in case you're able to pull her and level her up fast, she could be beneficial to you, but I don't know who you are out there that would be able to do that. And then there's no carts or no gliders that would help you on that one. RMX Rainbow Road 1 RT doesn't have any drivers that will help you on that. It does have Steel Driver as a level 6 and Toe Beam Balloons for level 6 as well. And then finally, DS Waluigi Pinball RT does have 3. Funky Kong is an L3 that could help you in that one, or some lower ones, normals or supers that could help your Baby Luigi as an L6, and Birdo Yellow is an L6 as well. Karts, there's 2 L3s, Black Dozer, which we talked at length about, the value of it, and Green Standard 8 are both L3s. Glam Bruiser and Radish Rider are both L6s that can help you in Wallow Pinball RT. And finally, in gliders, we have 3 L3s, that's Rainbow Starshoe, Sunset Balloons, both L3s, and then 8-Bit Jumping Luigi, which we were just awarded as a tour gift if you have Gold Pass, is an L3 as well.
So again, this, along with anything else that we're presenting, is really kind of looking behind the scenes and trying to present this information to you guys where it might be overlooked. And you know, seeing these items, unless you're one level away, it's good to have this presented to you. So that's why we included it. It hasn't been one that people keep asking for more information about or asking about. So Tabor, thank you for condensing it and just kind of keeping it a little bit easier on the eyes, and so from that perspective, we just were able to do both cups in one slide and cover it for you, and that's all we have. So we're now at an hour and 20 minutes. Tabor, what an awesome conversation. I think this broke the record for the rundown time length, and for an uneventful tour, you've made it eventful. So thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you'll be back again, and anything you want to say to your fans before we let them get back to their lives?
No, I just, again, I enjoy the opportunity, Studfit. I thank you for letting me join. And for those people that are still watching right now, you are a true Mario Kart Tour player for making it through this long of a video. But hopefully we were able to keep your attention, give you some information that you didn't know beforehand. And Puff Ton, if you need a new emote out there for the Kart Life community, go for it.
Awesome, Tabor. Thank you guys so much. Good luck on this tour. And await the calm before the storm. Thanks, guys.